Hi there, I'm Derek Brooks from Yamaha Motors US, and I'm the Motorcycle Product Line Manager, and we're here at Red Wing, Minnesota for the 2018 Star Days. Now I'm here with my friend Vince. This was your first chance to demo ride the all-new Star Venture. What'd you think?
Well, my first impression is that this is a wolf in sheep's clothing. The power delivery on this was seamless. I like the two different modes. I tried them out, the touring mode and the sport mode. Just confident, inspiring. The way the power delivery is very linear. Nothing like other V-twins that I've ridden from, other companies. They have a very pulsating feel to them, and it's very hard to control a bike like that, especially at slow speeds going through a parking lot. Boom, boom, boom. But it's got way more torque than I could ever imagine a bike of this size having.
Yeah, and you mentioned controllable, and that really was a very, very important key factor in developing this bike, not just for the engine, the whole bike, making it easy to manage. Because as we know, touring bikes are big bikes, there's no hiding that, but if we can make it as easy to manage as possible, it's going to give you, as a rider, more confidence, and that's going to, of course, give you the confidence to put a rider or a passenger on back, fill it full of luggage, go for that long trip.
Certainly.
And the V-twin engine was a very important part of that confidence, making it nice and narrow so you can get your feet on the ground. The motor itself, it's a semi-dry sump, so we don't have an oil sump on the bottom, which allows the whole motor to be positioned really low in the chassis, which again is going to give that low center of gravity feeling. What you felt, that sporty handling,
Sure.
It's all because of this low center of gravity, not having all the cams and all the other, especially rotating mass up top. It's all down below, and that's really what's providing that nimble handling.
A big difference between the previous model of Venture in the fact that the handling, the old one felt a little heavy. Some people said it was top heavy. This bike feels so neutral in the way it transitions, leaning into curves, driving slow through a parking lot. The weight is so stable, you don't feel it there. One of the biggest concerns I always had when touring across country was that next gas station, where's it going to be?
Yep.
So what is my
So this
fuel
is
capacity
6.6 gallons, largest in the industry. And so that was a very, very big, almost kind of like the final deciding factor of why we went with the V-twin motor and especially not the current VMAX, because that's a downdraft intake system with the air box up here, essentially robbing fuel tank volume.
Right.
So by moving to a V-twin, we could go to a single side draft intake. Air box is out here, so that allows all this area up here to be fuel tank volume. Wow. So we're officially claiming 34 miles per gallon, 6.6 gallons, you can do the math, a little over 220 miles range. But I can tell you in some of our rides so far, we've gotten more than that.
I did have an opportunity when we finally hit some twisties. Mark and I had made a little agreement. We were toward the back of the pack, so he'd back off, so I'd have a little more room between me and the bikes in front of me just to really see what it would do. Yeah, that was super impressive.
Well, and that's a good point too, that acceleration, and that's another big advantage of the V-twin. We're in an operating range of RPM under 4,750 RPM. So on, for example, the VMAX motor, it's making its peak torque at over 6,000 RPM. This is making its peak torque under 3,000 RPM, and this has more torque than the VMAX motor, which a lot of people don't realize.
Oh.
So not only do you have more torque, it's a much lower RPM range, which is a lot more calm. You don't have that high RPM frequency, kind of busy feeling.
Sure.
So again, it's just about comfort and relaxing.
I didn't have to, as we hit the twisties, some of them were like 35, 40 mile an hour twisties. Admittedly, I went through them a little bit faster than that, but I didn't have to do a lot of gear selection for it, which was really nice.
That's right.
Rolling off and rolling back on, the power was there, so I didn't have to hunt for that power band once I started coming into a turn.
That's exactly the benefit of the big V-twin. It's got a very broad torque range, so you're not constantly trying to find a gear to keep it up in that sweet spot, that you do on some of the higher RPM motors.
And how did you keep that engine so smooth? I mean, it's not V-twin bouncy, like the handlebars don't move, nothing moves, you don't feel it.
So new, that's a great question. New for Yamaha on our V-twin line is a composite dampened engine. So in other words, it's not a rigid mounted engine.
Really?
For the first time, but it's a very advanced system. Typically on a rubber mounted or composite mounted engine, what you give up is chassis rigidity, which then you get in the corners and maybe it doesn't feel quite as neutral or solid handling. But our engineers have designed a very advanced system to where you have the dampened vibration, but yet it still keeps the chassis rigidity. And I think that's exactly what you're feeling in the handling. You're not going in the corner and feeling any kind of wallowing. It's very, very neutral in the handling.
Yeah, I noticed that right away because pitching a Royal Star, I've changed the suspension on the Royal Star to make it handle better, and it still doesn't handle anywhere near this good. So again, it's really stable, whatever speed you tossed it through. But I wasn't aware that's how you mounted the engine. That makes a heck of a big difference. That's sweet, really sweet. Thanks.
Glad you like it.
Yeah.
You bet. Good talking to you.
Good talking.
And, thanks for your questions and thanks for your comments.
Yeah, thanks for answering them.
You bet. Thank you.